Hi, my name is Eliza Cortez Bast.
And I'm Andy Bossardet. Today we're going to be starting a two-part series on the question, what makes for a successful ministry? Oftentimes we have stories we tell about what success looks like or doesn't look like, and those stories go unexamined. So today we're going to begin by talking about deciding what a successful ministry looks like, and then next week we're going to open up and to talk about conversations that can help us discern and decide what our vision of success is, and then how to step into that vision of success. So today we're starting with the notion that your congregation and you as a leader are somewhere. You have a current reality about your own life as a leader. That includes your own personal spiritual journey, your family, etc. Your congregation has a narrative about its current reality. Where you have been as a church, where you're located today, things like who's worshiping with you, who isn't, how many you're worshiping with, what ministries you have and don't have, and you need to tell that story. You also need to be telling the story and listening for the story that's being told in your community. What's going on in your neighborhood? What's going on in your school systems, and what's going on in government? What's going on in businesses around you? As you begin to tell that story, you begin to emerge a sense of what God is already doing in your community and what your church may be called to do next.
Part of what Andy is referring to is defining what your church's missional call is. Once you do your community listening and listening to your congregation's narrative and their story, you can start to prayerfully discern with the power of the Holy Spirit why God has your church in that community and what He wants your congregation to do in partnership with His work already in the community. One of the things that is common for most organizations to do is to measure their outputs instead of their outcomes. So today we want to talk briefly and give you common language to start crafting the vision of what God is calling you to do in your community. Outputs are simply your organization's activities. Outcomes, however, are the story of the actual impact your organization is having. So if we think of this like a bridge, you may want to tell people that you want for folks to experience what's happening on the other side. That you want people to experience the kind of life that can be experienced if they just make it over the other side of this chasm. Those kind of outcomes, that missional call, will help you drive what kind of inputs need to happen. Your church may strategically design a bridge and say that that is what they're being called to do to drive the outcomes they hope they would like to have. So, you may say, we need to start raising the resources to build this bridge. Those kind of inputs then would be things like resources. What do we need to build this bridge? You may think of things like time, volunteers. And then as those things start to get built, then you'll start to understand your strategy for how you want to accomplish the outcomes you feel your missional call is calling you towards. Now, where most times organizations start to get stuck is that they celebrate the outputs. So in this metaphor, our outputs would be, yes, we're celebrating that we've built a bridge together. We've had conversations about the bridge, that we've actually had marketing events around the bridge. But when you go back to your missional call will tell you the things that you should be celebrating and the things that you should be measuring is not the activity itself, but actually the outcome of people experiencing life on the other side of the bridge. So as you start to interpret what that means for your organization's resources, it starts to change the conversation of how you structure programming and structure your process to actually achieve the missional outcome, the missional calling that your church has. So this is definitely not a call to do more. What it means is that you strategically look at your ministries and you start to say, if we want to have this outcome, in this metaphor, if we want people to get to the other side, then what do we have to stop doing now? What do we have to alter? And what do we have to tweak to make sure that our ministry is having the maximized impact it can have to have the outcomes, and then we can celebrate those well?
And so, as Elisa said, whenever you get clear about your missional call, whenever you get clear about why you want to build a bridge and where you want to head to, one of the things you have to do as a leader is start a conversation around how ministry needs to change. If you have a vision statement that doesn't alter fundamentally how your church does its work, then it's not really a compelling vision, and it's something that probably needs to be discarded and you need to start the work all over again. to consider how your ministry might need to change, I want to give you the image of a stoplight. So for every stoplight, you have the red light, the yellow light, the green light. Red light means stop, yellow light means go faster and try to beat the red light, and green light means go. For the red light, we consider that there will be some ministries that need to stop. Now, this is not a decision that you make easily, and certainly you don't use this as an opportunity to grind your axe against a particular ministry that you don't like or doesn't fit your preferences. It's a time to say, what ministries need to end now so that we can be empowered, we can have more resources, more people, more volunteers, more time and energy to be able to get across the bridge and get to the place we need to go. The yellow light represents ministries that need to be tweaked, ministries that need to be changed. You need to hit the pause button on that ministry and say, is there a way it could change even a little bit to help us accomplish the mission or the vision that we're getting after? And then finally, the green light. What are the ministries that need to either be accelerated, in other words, have more people, more money, more time, more energy given to them, or perhaps new ministries that need to get started in order to get across that chasm and toward the life that God is calling you to live? So today we've talked a little bit about how to start the conversation and how to consider where God is leading you and how that's going to change your ministry. For our next session, we're going to talk just a little bit more about the kinds of conversations you'll need to have in order to do this discernment work. Thank you so much, and see you next week.